Hello everybody and welcome to episode number 63 of the DanJohnUniversity.com podcast. Welcome aboard. We have a question from Ben. Now, before I even go on this question, I never give medical advice. I certainly know a lot. I have been the first person on tragedies a few times in my life and had to do first aid and critical care, and I've taken a lot of classes with the American Red Cross. Certainly, the basics of different things. But I'm no doctor, I'm no trainer, but I do have some experience. That's why I like what Ben is asking here. He says this: I had open heart surgery in July to replace a heart valve from a congenital heart defect. Surgery went well, and I followed all of my surgeon and cardiologist recommendations, one of which was to not lift anything heavier than a gallon of milk until mid-October. Mid-October is right around the corner, and I'm excited to start lifting weights as part of my workouts again. But I'm a little bit apprehensive since I haven't lifted anything since the day before my surgery. Yeah, and it's wise, and I'm glad you're doing exactly what they're telling you to do. I plan to start with some 2 to 3 pound dumbbells initially next week with my son while he is working out, just to loosen things up and rebuild some range of motion. My surgeon said I will have no restrictions October 15th. So I was wondering if you had any recommendations on progressing in weight after such a long period of not lifting. Well, July to October, first off, Ben, welcome back, congratulations. But July to October is not necessarily that long. In fact, I kind of recommend, if you can, anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks a year to taking off, OFF, no lifting. And occasionally, I think if you're a long-term trainer, I think up to 6 months is a good idea to go out and try something new. It could be a new sport, a new activity, or just not lift. Just because I think that's a good idea in every aspect of life. I think there's value to not being around some people sometimes, even if you dearly love them. We won't go too deep on that, but everyone involved in family knows that sometimes when the kids leave, it's kind of nice to say goodbye. You could probably do a full body workout, maybe, and again, you got to be smart. But with these 2 or 3 pound weights, I like the idea of just moving through the basic movements of the human body. Since they're only 2 and 3 pounds, you don't even need to get down on a bench for bench press. You can probably just do the old kneader press, the great shot put champion who did those standing bench presses for snap. By the way, still a great exercise for any thrower. You certainly, this isn't unusual. In fact, if you look at some of the old strong books and I have a stack of them right behind me, from 1910 to 1920, you'll see that a lot of people were doing really high rep, really high volume movements in a huge variety of exercises. Some up to, and if this is right, up to 1,000 reps. I think that's a little excessive in a workout. But Ben, I think you're going to be okay. I would like to see you take your time. There's a couple of exercises I'd like you to kind of step back from a little bit for a while, and that'd be the power lifts, only because of the high need of tension. I'm not saying you're gonna hurt your heart or anything, but I'd rather see you gently come up to being back normal. Right now, Ben, one of the most important things that you're doing is training with your son. If you have any precautions you can take extra besides the obvious ones of following your doctor's advice, number 1. 2, taking your time, ramping things up gently. 3, if it's appropriate, a heart rate monitor. I don't know. I use Fulbright, the one that you have to plug in the ears, which I find to be a pain, but it's better than the ones in the chest. And I don't like the ones in the wrist because weights hit them all the time. So there is no perfect one yet, but I'm sure not long. I wouldn't mind on a heart rate monitor just to and stick real close to, I would even say sub-Moutain numbers, maybe even take 150 minus your age as the high end, just for the first week or so. And I like what you're saying here. If you know Tim Anderson's Original Strength, I would recommend that also, just to get the movement back in those big joints and to kind of rebuild yourself. literally, if you will, from the ground up. Ben, this is a great question, and I do wish you the best, but I'm also very concerned about you going too fast. I hate to be such a brake, B-R-A-K-E, in your life, but I'd rather be a little wiser now and happier later. Ben, good luck to you. I want you to get back to me, okay? Thank you. We have a question from Callum. And Callum tells us he's 5'10", 90K, 198 pounds, 26 years old and play rugby, primarily at flanker for an amateur team just below semi-pro level. As we're not going to be playing rugby until January now, so I have another 3 months of training to prep myself. Can you advise on my program or area that I should focus on that might improve my performance? Where do you think I should look to improve the most? And at what strength level do you think I should be lifting? I can currently do the following. Don't forget, he weighs 90K, so he can bench 3x5 at 105, 231, squats 3x5 at 120, deadlift 2x5 at 130, 286, military press 135, 60K, and he can work out with 20K kettlebells. So you're doing a lot of the standard Jim Wendler 531 stuff, which is just fine. You didn't really share with me any conditioning. I put together what we call lift and sprints specifically for your sport and sports like yours, American football, rugby, and collision occupations. And that's where you take that kettlebell you have, you go out onto a field. Ideally, a field with a hill is the best, but we do what you do. And you do maybe 8 goblet squats, throw the bell and sprint. And it's got to be that fast. And then for you as a rugby player, you want to do them in both directions. These are called lift and sprints. I used to call them lift and offs, but I got tired of stupid people questioning the story behind them. To me, I think what I'm missing here is I'm missing your conditioning. Your strength levels for a flanker at 90K are fine. You're strong enough. But I would like to see you be able to transition your strength. So take the kettlebells outside, do some goblet squats, do something, anything you can think of. I've tried them with every exercise I can do outside, including deadlifts. And after you get your 5, 8, 10, 12 reps in, you drop and sprint, or you drop and go up a hill, or drop and pull a sled. One other exercise I'd like to see you add a little bit would be, there's a little thing we do for American football where you combine a deadlift with a bear crawl. So you do a set of deadlifts, say a set of 5. In your case, you say you can do a 130 for 5. So bring it down to maybe 120, maybe even lighter. Do a set of 5, immediately go to the ground and bear crawl maybe 20 meters to get yourself in that, what I call that gear change conditioning that's so important in rugby, American football, and collision occupations. The gear change, I'm sitting in a chair right now, but if I'm a police officer and I'm sitting in a chair and I see something happen, I have to get out of my chair, sprint after the bad guy, and do something. Well, that to me, I call that gear changes. So one of the things I want you to think about is gear changes, okay? Rugby is nothing but gear changes. So I'd like you to think about that and see where you can put that into your program. That is always the missing link I see. And there's one more in rugby. And the other one is tumbling. I don't think rugby athletes spend enough time practicing tumbling. Not only is it injury preventative, because you learn to hit the ground better, but it's also some of the best conditioning you can do for the sport. So lift and sprints and work on that, the deadlift, bear crawl, and then tumbling as best as you can learn it. I hope that helps. Thank you. We have a question from Eduardo. Eduardo asks this: what are your thoughts on isometric training? Let's stop right there. I'm a big fan of isometric training. Always have been. I think it does 2 good things for you. First, if you have a weakness in a range of motion, and I did, and that's why I always talk about my dead stop front squat program, where Dave Turner had me put, we use sawhorses, and I put it exactly at 34 inches. Sorry, international listeners, I'm not sure what that'd be, maybe 0.7, 0.8 meters, something like that. And that's where my dead spot was in the, that's where things just stopped in my front squat. The first time I tried it, I couldn't stand up with 135 pounds, 60 kilos. 6 weeks later, I did 365, which is 165 kilos. And I never missed a front squat again in my career, because I think at that point, all I was using was to rebound the balance out of the bottom, and I never really had taught myself to be strong in that position. So that's number one. Number two, I'm a big fan for teaching technical issues. I use it in the discus throw all the time. We put you in the position I think I want you to be in, because you're going so fast, you blow right through them. We hold that position. We then shake it all out because we just raised all that tension, and then boom, we go back in. I talk with Dick Smith quite a bit, Smitty at York, one of the original pioneers. Bill March and I have become kind of correspondence buddies. He was one of the great innovators. He and Lou Reiki were the great innovators. So I think there's some real value in it. But again, like everything new, you get about 6 weeks and you're about done. Can it replace normal barbell lifting? Can it replace it? Dick Smith told me a good thing. 2 days a week of Olympic lifting, 2 days a week of pure isos. And he felt that was the way to go. And he was very serious about the isometrics, more than I really thought he would be. Sadly, all those things were put up on the internet in 1998. And as we know, there is no real archive on the internet from about 1998 to about 2001. And I know you're going to tell me, folks, about, here, you can find it here. You can't. I've looked. I've hired people to look. It's gone. Sorry. But so those great interviews with Dick, I don't know where they are, but they're lost. So yeah, I think it's a complement to barbell training, just the same way I think kettlebells are a complement to traditional strength training. Do kettlebells have value? Oh, sure. Does isometrics have value? Oh, sure. And then the final thing he says, I'm thinking about getting an ISO chain. ISO chain is a new device made by Paul Wade, distributed by Dragon Door. I have one. I wrote the foreword to the book, so Eduardo, I wrote the foreword to the book, so obviously I have a conflict here. Though I'm not getting reimbursed financially, I think I'm being reimbursed in those other ways. My name is in the book. Do I like the ISO chain? Yeah. The thing I like best about it is you can set it at a load, and it will give you feedback, beep, 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 when you're at the load, and you're striving for 6 beeps in a row. And what I like about that is a guy like me who's an explosive athlete, I always do lifts like this, boom, and then I move on. But this thing demands that I go boom and hold it, which is an area is a weakness in my personal strength training journey. So I've enjoyed that. The ones I like, personally, I'm doing the one, I can't remember the name of the program, but it's basically a rack deadlift, a curl, and a press right about there. I think it has value, absolutely. Your mileage may vary, and I can't look into your pocketbook. But in my case, I like to try things new and innovative. So for me, yeah, I'm a fan of the ISO chain. Am I telling you to buy it? Not necessarily. But if it's something you want to think about and go down that road, right now I don't know of a better product. And if you read my foreword, you'll see the 3 reasons why. Okay. Hey, thank you. Okay, we have a question from Dino. Dino, what are your thoughts on muscle ups? Well, good for you if you can do them. That's great. Are they worth practicing for any reason? Well, they're a standard thing all gymnasts have to do. If you're a police officer, if you're a special ops guy, if you're any military person, it might save your life one day to be able to pull yourself up and push yourself over. I don't like the nonsense I see online, and I would prefer, if you were military or if you were a police officer, to practice them against the wall. So you practice that kind of scramble up the wall, because that's more realistic. I have a cousin who's a very famous SWAT officer, and he's told me several times that one of the most important things in bringing down some of the bad people is to be able to get over, in where he lives, chain link fences. So if you're a police officer in an area with a lot of chain link fences, I think it's well worth your time to practice the movement of the muscle up on the chain link fence. They're a good exercise. I've never used them in my coaching or training because they're a little specific to the sport of gymnastics. It's real hard to get a 275-pound shot putter to be doing muscle ups. And of course, if you did get them to do muscle ups, you'd have to ask yourself, well, why are we doing this? They need to be lifting phenomenal amounts of weight to be competitive, and we don't want to be taken away from that. So yeah, I'm not against them, for them. They're just one more tool in the toolkit. I hope that helps. Thank you. We have a question from John, and John says, my question stems from other topics you've mentioned in your articles and podcast. Well, thanks for listening, by the way. Specifically those geared towards priorities at different stages of life. For example, as we shift into middle age, we should emphasize building and keeping lean muscle mass. What about general non-competitive athletes of other age brackets? Just like my investing strategy will be different from a 30-year-old, from those from a 40, 50, 60-year-old, and so on. I'm sure that there are general principles that we should consider and prioritize in non-sport specific strength training. Any thoughts on this? Yeah, John, well, it comes down to the big three: body composition, strength, and mobility. My whole book, Can You Go, is based on this. Can you go is a phrase I use for competitive athletes, and then what I do for everybody else is I have them do it's the 1, 2, 3, 4 assessment. Stand on one foot. There's two measurements: your weight and your height to weight ratio. There's 3 questions: how many pillows do you need to sleep at night? Do you eat colorful vegetables? And do you exercise half an hour a day? And then if you've passed all the way through that, and then we go to 4 physical tests: a plank, a farmer walk, a standing long jump, and then some form of a get-up. It can be a Turkish get-up, or the get-back drill, or the Brazilian get down and up test. I don't really care which one you use. I used to be really specific about that. Now I'm more like, once you've been doing this a while, you can just say to somebody, just get on the ground and get back up, and you'll be like, oh boy, okay, I get it. Post 22 years of age, it's going to be keep yourself as lean as you can appropriately. That's a tough one. I notice after this long weekend, I feel like I'm about 50 pounds heavier. It was a good college football weekend. But overall, when it comes to area of body composition, I'm a big fan of intermittent fasting. I'm a big fan of taking care of your gut biome. I'm a big fan of eating vegetables every meal, eating protein every meal, drinking a lot of water. The great advice of Art Devaney: don't get fat in the first place. So in your 20s, it's so important to remain in lean condition. Keeping your strength is important, not only for longevity but for general use, usefulness. Just the other day, again, here I am, picking up couches for somebody. I'm 63 and I'm still the go-to couch picker-upper. And of course, the third of this is mobility. And what you could probably do, John, I like where your idea is here. There is basically 3 ages, okay? 16 to about 35, 36 to about 55, and 55 and above. With 55 and above, it's do what you can do as best as you can do it. Fight vigorously to hold on to lean body mass and mobility. And those are the 2 big ones. From 36 to 55, that to me is the most important time for your longevity, because you're setting up your body. Then at that age, I would argue strength and lean body mass, and with an eye on mobility. And of course, 16 to 35, you want to, I hate to say this, but you want to look good. In my perfect world, we would teach you the Olympic lifts, and then the power lifts, and then body build. That world doesn't exist. Love for you to have a high degree of fast twitch muscle fiber, the explosive muscles, and lean, a nice fat number, like 10 to 15% for males. Women, 19 to 25 or even higher. I've never been convinced that women need to be much leaner than that. So yeah, your idea of an investment strategy has been discussed by many people. My friend Nick Rains over at Fit Ranks, FITRANX, Fit Ranks, does great work on this, and I recommend maybe you looking towards his ideas of those three. He calls them brackets: 16 to 35, 36 to 50, to go even deeper. And I like the idea, John. I think it would be kind of a great idea for you if I am reading this as you are an investment counselor. It would be kind of fun for you to put a health and fitness list into your investment advice, because I think past a certain age, the best investment you can make, according to Dale Carnegie, is your health. And if you don't have your health, you don't have much. I don't care how much you don't pay in taxes, or how many golf courses you own. If you don't have your health, man, you're in trouble. So it's a great question. Thank you, John. We have a question from Ian. I have just about fully recovered from some health issues pertaining to some autoimmune trouble the last 2 years. Wow, that is something that's. I have a few friends who've had issues along those lines. It's a journey. So good luck to you, Ian. Intermittent fasting, easy strength, and loaded carries have restored the bulk, pun, love it, of my health and fitness. My strength naturally took a nosedive during the summer of 2018, but now I'm in a good spot now, thank God. Some general stats for you to work off of: 39, 6'2", 225, 102.5 kilos. I have experience lifting, and before my health scare, had good strength for my age and size. I now have most of that strength and fitness back. Well, God bless you, Ian. Good. My question is, how do you properly prepare and program for Highland Games? You just got your health back and now you're doing Highland Games. I have at home a sled, 500 pounds on Ollie plates, a 7-foot Olympic bar, trap bar, and kettlebells ranging from 35 to 70 pounds. I also have plenty of room to train outside my yard. Well, I gotta recommend, if you can find it now, my good friends Mike and Minnie Pekowski wrote a book called A Contrarian Approach to the Highland Games. I don't know where you can find it. Just type in A Contrarian Approach to the Highland Games, and I would take their advice. The fact that they quote me a lot in the book, notwithstanding. But basically, throwers throw. And you've got to kind of orient yourself more to that, especially at 39. You've got to learn the events, and every minute you spend throwing is probably better than every minute you spend lifting. Now, in the weight room, I mean, the fact that you have farmer bars and a sled, a trap bar, I'd use a trap bar as a farmer bar, and a sled. I think those are the two most important things you're going to use, because a Highland Game athlete is a thrower with heavy implements. You do need a strong base, but you seem to have it already. I, of course, prefer you do more Olympic lifting as a Highland Gamer, and a lot of people disagree with me on that, but I remember defeating them. Yeah. So really, if you can put yourself into it, the traditional throwing workout of the power lifts and the Olympic lifts, with the addition of the loaded carries as best you can, as much you can, you're going to be fine in the weight room. And then throw. I have a way, like for example, if you don't have the Highland Game equipment, just make your own devices. One of the things I did, and it really helped me in my throwing career, is I took just a PVC pipe and I put a little T on the end. Make sure you really secure that T in there with, with all that, with that purple and pink goop you put on it. And then it was a T like this, and then I just slid 25-pound weights on that, just one, and then maybe a little bit more. And I would do, we call them Armstrong swings, is that you try to build up to 1 minute of swinging in each direction. Do maybe 10 swings the first time in both directions, and then you're done for the workout, and then give yourself 4 to 8 hours to assess those 20 reps, because you will find some strange creaks. always go in both directions. Okay, I think that's really important. So I guess this is the right hand swing, and then the left hand swing around the head. To me, that was more valuable than the actual throwing of the Scottish hammers. For the other events, if you have to make up, I would suggest, if you're going to buy, the one piece I'd recommend buying, it's the most expensive, sadly, is the 56, because the 56 trains you for the 28. Some people disagree with that, but I found that to be absolutely true. And if you can get yourself to be doing multiple turns, and you'll see Mike doing that in the video. It's technique, technique, technique. Mike and Mindy talk about getting the X, and read my book. It's at danjohn.net, A Contrarian Approach to the Discus Throw. And just look at the word X, what that means. You got to learn how to use the X. You got to learn how to push trucks up a hill. And then they're real big about settling, and that's that moment where your feet hit and you wait. One of the hardest things to be an elite thrower is patience, and patience is brutal. I like your question. My response is going to be very simple, very direct. Just do a basic, solid, good program. Nothing new and fancy. If you go into if you Google my name and Dave Davis, or you Google my name, that should be enough, and you'll get some workouts by that. I would also even maybe suggest going to my danjohn.net site and looking up the John Powell workouts, because those are standard throws workouts. Okay, I hope that helps. Okay, we have a question from Justin, and it's about a specific program called the Mountain Climbing Program that I wrote for a guy named Adam. You can find it in a couple of my books, but the best place to find it is on danjohnuniversity.com. In fact, you can go through the generator and follow it perfectly. Justin asks, how would you modify the mountain climbing program to make it more of a year-round program rather than prepping for a specific event? I just finished it and feel great and want to keep going with it, but I'm not sure if I can stick to it exactly again or not. I'm not a big fan of changing programs, but really all you have to do is just drop out the last week, the prep week. You might even want to think about doing the first 6 weeks and then doing the first 6 weeks. It's a program, it's got everything. I like the loaded carries, it's got rucking, it's got, I think, some good cardio. I think it's a very reasonable program. I think the workouts are, it's interesting, I was just reading Pat Flynn's book on generalism, and I feel like his 2-page review of fitness is exactly what I have in that program. Yeah, I wouldn't. Your variations, you come up with them. Like, for example, if you think the seesaw walk press is too much, and I could see that, you could certainly drop that. But I love the idea of doing a workout and getting out and rucking. So try it and get back to me, okay? Thank you, Justin. We have a question from Chris. It's a good question because it's a smart question from someone who's done a program and asks a good question. I've run through, it goes ES4FL, Easy Strength for Fat Loss, twice, and I wondered why I was performing a hinge, deadlift, and then swing in the same workout. My workouts are kettlebell based, so I usually nix the deadlift and carry my bell like waiter walks as a finisher. Why not do one or the other? What is unique about the deadlift and swing that makes it important to include both? This isn't a criticism, it's merely curious. It's because, Chris, when I wrote that, big picture, when I first wrote the 10,000 swing challenge, I gave you a foolproof program. And then I realized it wasn't good enough. So I came up with 3 other really good variations. So when I did Easy Strength for Fat Loss for myself, I put together a program with the equipment I had and a situation I had. And remember, I got you doing those swings right before you take off. Well, Easy Strength for Fat Loss is a good program, but then we started to realize that complexes followed by the ruck was even better. And then we realized, this is the way it always goes, that hypertrophy workouts before the ruck are even, well, better. They're all good. I just like this option better. Today, for example, we did hanging leg raises, tricep extensions and curls. I then did a hinge. I did deficit deadlifts today. Single arm rows in the TRX, presses, and then to get my heart rate up, I did double kettlebell front squats as the last exercise to spike my heart rate just before I took off with my ankle weights and my weights in my hands. The idea on the swings was to get your heart rate up. So you're looking at them as hinges, which is they are, and I'm looking at them as a way to get the heart rates to go up. Easy strength doesn't work very well with squats. Yes, you can make it work. You can make anything work. This doesn't work very well. But what we found is that by doing the hypertrophy workout and finishing with the squats, it was, and I'm going to do this whole quote unquote thing with the fingers, better than the way we were doing it. So once again, we're constantly trying to look for smoother, more efficient ways, simpler. And remember, I said simple, I didn't say easy, ways of getting the workout in, and then to use that ruck or long walk or heavy hands as a way to burn off the free fatty acids. So your question, Chris, is like one of those good questions that I wish you were here with me working out, because you would have seen that natural progression that we went from easy strength, oh, this works well, easy strength followed by rucks. Ooh, this works well. Complexes followed by rucks. This works well, but it's exhausting. Hypertrophy, finishing with high rep squats, 3 sets to 8. This works really well, and I keep coming back day after day to do it. Honestly, the best advice I can give you, go to the workout generator, do the most basic fundamental workouts you can there, and then go for a walk after. That would be by far the easiest. Great question. And I'll probably have either a workshop or an article about what I'm doing soon. Thank you. Well, there you go. Episode 63 in the books. And remember, if you have questions, email them to me at podcast@danjohnuniversity.com, and I'll do my best to get right back at you. Thank you.